Hello everyone, this is Donnie aka Elevated with Dota Alchemy, and here's another video for you today. This is going to be a quick one, and it's going to be a little bit of a rant, and we are going to talk about the most overrated starting item in all of Dota, and that is our very good friend, the Quelling Blade. Now, why is Quelling Blade such an overrated, and in my mind, it is arguably the worst item you can buy at the very beginning of the game, and here's why. This is a game where I'm playing offlane Sven, and I run up here and I scout that this Lifestealer has a Quelling Blade. I ping it out to my team. So if we look at Lifestealer, he has 1 armor, a stout shield, 3 tangos, and a Quelling Blade in addition to the Iron Branch. So a total of up to 4 tangos if you were to eat the Iron Branch. Now if we look at my Sven, I have 3 mangoes, 6 tangos, and a stout shield in addition to 4 armor and 67 base damage versus the Lifestealer's 58 base damage. So if these two heroes were to one-on-one, which one would probably win? Obviously, the Sven's going to win that trade, even if Lifestealer takes the feast and is lifestealing off of the Sven, who is a high HP pool hero, the Lifestealer is just going to get obliterated because Sven has twice as much regen as Lifestealer does, in addition to the stun. So if we actually play this lane out, and you're going to see, as soon as I identify that this Lifestealer has a Quelling Blade in his inventory, I just immediately start burning my mana and just right-clicking him as much as possible. Because I know, okay, now he's down to 2 tangos. He's going to start the lane with 2 tangos. That is not enough regen to sustain in a one-on-one lane. And I have a Nature's Prophet on my side as well. So you can see that he immediately buys a salve and sends it out on the courier. Now, this is actually really bad because the mid laner is supposed to get the courier first, because the mid laner is the one who actually needs a salve. He only has 2 tangos. And, while Timbersaw is a hero that sustains very well in his own right, generally speaking, the mid laner is always supposed to get the courier first and generally have the courier as much as he wants for the first 5 minutes of the game. As you can see, this Lifestealer now only has a salve. He's already used all 3 tangos, and you can see that my Sven is constantly, every single time Stormbolt is off of cooldown, and I have the opportunity to, I'm just going to Stormbolt the Lifestealer. Lifestealer is now going to have to use his salve, and we're less than a minute into the game. He buys another set of tangos. So let's see how many last hits. Lifestealer has 1 last hit, and that is not enough to sustain the salve and the tango purchase that he's already made. He chews up another set of tangos in addition to an Iron Branch. This is a huge waste of resources for a carry to just constantly be buying regen and sending it out to yourself. In addition to that, if he is stealing the courier from the mid laner, that means that the mid laner is not going to get good timings on the items that he should be. Meanwhile, my mid laner has already sent out his Null Talisman. He's going to get the courier again because I don't need the courier at all, because I still have 5 tangos in addition to a mango left, and I'm at quite high HP and mana. You can see that the Lich is having to give the Lifestealer his tangos, and now the Lifestealer has bought 6 more tangos in addition to his Iron Branch. This is a ridiculous amount of investment for a carry hero to have to buy while he's trying to progress his items through last hits. So he has 3 last hits, because now 4, because hasn't been able to approach the creep wave, because every time he does, I just blast him with Stormbolt. This is how you abuse somebody who shows up to lane with Quelling Blade, is you just harass them incessantly. And you can see that's even affecting the Lich. The Lich now has just 2 clarities and no regen, so we could technically turn our attention to harassing the Lich out of lane, and then it would be basically a guaranteed 2-on-1, because Lich is not going to be able to stay in lane if he takes even 1 Stormbolt, really, because we can right-click him so much. He is now ferrying himself 6 tangos and a salve, and that is just 0 item progression for this carry. So as we fast forward through this lane a bit, we can see that he's just having to kind of play very, very carefully. He can't get the courier because Nature's Prophet sniped it, so it's still dead for another 18 seconds. And you can see that on my Sven, I'm an offlane Sven, and I'm 14 and 10. I have as many denies as Lifestealer has last hits. You can see that they've completely lost control of this lane, And I would say that this lane is just 100% lost already for this lifestealer, because despite having 14 last hits, all of that has gone into more regen just so he can stay in the lane. He even buys himself an infused raindrops, which I don't think I've ever seen a lifestealer buy in my entire life. And that's just because he's feeling the pressure of having a Stormhammer to the face every single time he shows his face in lane. So basically, that's all I really wanted to showcase, is just that if you are buying a Quelling Blade as a carry and showing up to lane, unless there's maybe some very, very niche scenarios, like if you are perhaps a Bloodseeker who has infinite regen if he can last hit, and you're playing against something like a Tiny who just has an absurdly high base damage, or a Treant Protector who you absolutely have to have a Quelling Blade to be able to contest them for last hits. But if you're a carry player and you're buying a Quelling Blade in your starting items and you're showing up to lane with only one set of tangos and a healing salve, you are going to get destroyed in lane every single time, because you just do not have enough regen to sustain yourself through the lane. And you got to kind of think about the initial regen that you buy as regen or HP that you are trading for those first few waves of last hits. You're basically using that regen to get yourself off to a good start. And if you're not able to use that regen to get yourself off to a good start, you're simply going to have a bad start. We can look at the last hits now at 6 minutes. Anti-Mage with 29. Lifestealer still down here at 17. I have 23 and 13 denies. And this is just a awful, awful start for a carry. So how do you deal with this if you see your carry buying a Quelling Blade? Obviously, first of all, if you see a carry buying a Quelling Blade and you're supporting them in lane, share this video with them, because everybody should know by now that a Quelling Blade as a starting item makes no sense. It's literally right here, or the side shop. It's right here. It costs 200 gold. It takes you, half of a wave to get that. You can even save a little bit of gold. Maybe you show up to lane with 6 tangos and a stout shield, and then you save the rest of your gold, and then you can go buy your Quelling Blade as soon as the bounty runes are picked up. It's very, very simple, and in that scenario, at least you have 6 tangos to deal with for the early stages of the lane. But if you are a support and your carry's buying a Quelling Blade at the very beginning of the game, you need to just buy a bunch of extra regen and feed it to them throughout the course of the lane, because otherwise they're going to have what happened to this guy happen to them, and they're just going to get forced out of the lane. And you can kind of counteract this if you have like a couple of salves, if you have 6 tangos of your own, and then you can just periodically feed them shared tangos or a salve if they get very, very low. And that's kind of how you can counteract the huge mistake that your carry player might be making. So basically, this is just a PSA. Don't buy Quelling Blade. It is an awful investment. It basically loses you the lane from the very, very beginning of the game, and nobody wants to be losing the game within the first 30 seconds. So good luck, have fun in your games. Don't buy Quelling Blade, and we'll see you in another video.